Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar about the DCS program. Thank you all for joining us today. I am Silvina Scalabrini. I'm part of the DCS program team and I'm responsible for the program in Argentina and Spain. I'm actually talking to you straight from Argentina and it will be my pleasure to be your host today. So we developed this webinar with two main goals. The first one is to have an interesting conversation around the digital commerce industry, what we expect from the future of the technology market, how it is transforming businesses and the challenges ahead, and also talk a bit about VTEX and why it's such a great place to start a career in this industry. And the second goal is to introduce our DCS program, which actually means Digital Commerce Specialist, the advantages of participating and how a program like this can transform the job market in this segment by educating high-performance professionals who are willing to start a future-proof career. So for those of you who don't know yet what the DCS program is, and we will talk about it in more detail later, but just as a quick summary, it's a 2-year program for recent graduates that combines a full-time job based on job rotations with the learning program provided by ACOM, which is the European Institute for Commerce Management. It's a program that we currently have in 7 countries. We will focus today in the program for Spain, but just so you know, it's actually a global program. And we are conducting this webinar in English in case we have attendees from other countries in Europe who are always welcome to join us. So the format of the webinar will be as follows. We will have first a panel with some very special guests that I will introduce in a minute, who will be talking about how it is to develop a career in the digital commerce industry. And then we will have a second panel focusing more on the specifics of the DCS program. At the end of each panel, we will be answering the questions from the audience. So please send all your questions on the chat and we will answer them when we get to the Q&A section. So now let's open the first panel. And for this, I have the pleasure to introduce Daniel Viana, VP Customer Excellence for Western Europe, and Guillermo Daim, Customer Success Manager at VTEX. Daniel, Guillermo, how are you?
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you here.
Great to have you.
Hi, everyone. Great to see you all.
Perfect. So to start this panel, we will begin with a question that I have for you. So could you share with us what is it like to work in the e-commerce market and how to have a future-proof career in e-commerce?
So the e-commerce industry for me, it's a fantastic industry. So I came from a different background. And I joined the e-commerce industry 1 year ago. And it's like you're working in an industry that's growing exponentially and has been changing every year. And then it's almost impossible for you to learn everything that you have, but you keep being challenged every day by customers and moving forward and looking knowledge. And when you go for like a position in VTEX, you always have the 360 approach. So you don't go for just a career in digital marketing or a career that you focus on fulfillment. You go for the whole customer experience on the website and everything that's happening on the background.
I think, Eggy, tell us a little bit about your experience with your career in e-commerce and, I mean, how you came to be in VTEX and what you do here today.
So before VTEX, I work mainly in telecom and banking industry. And I decided to come to Spain to do an MBA, top university. And I did one of the most challenging things of my career, which is what we call a triple jump. So I had never worked in Spain before. I moved country. I had never worked in e-commerce before. I changed completely the sector, and I never worked before in customer success. So I changed the sector, function, and country. And if you do such a huge change, it's also a huge challenge because you're in an environment that you never been before. You're being challenging constantly. And my first project here actually was a B2B marketplace, complex one, with a super demanding customer. Tier one, Unilever was the main customer, and I I tend to say I've been here for a year. I completely felt in love with. And the most challenging part for me was not only to learn about this new industry and to get to know everything, but what we do here, we recommend what is best for the customer, even when saying no to them, even when it's getting a customer idea and saying no, you should not do that because this will hurt you in the future. This will not be the best approach for your objectives and for your business. And you have to do X. I recommend you for doing X, Y, and Z so you can achieve your objectives. And that comes from not simply a small talk or quick talk, but you going deep on the customer's business. You understanding how is their consumers behave, how is their whole chain behaves, what's the experience they have on their website, what are their strengths and what are their weaknesses, so you can have the best recommendation and always work on the best interests of the customer.
Cool. I guess I'll take my shot here at trying to explain a little bit the same thing, but with different words, right? Um, so yeah, I'm Daniel, like Silvina said. I currently lead the customer experience department for VTEX in Western Europe. Um, I've never worked with anything else in my life except e-commerce. It started by mistake, and it ended up being, by luck, the best thing that ever happened. Um, I didn't even know what was a future-proof career when I started doing this. So I was a 16-year-old kid when I started basically selling merchandise online in one of the big P2P, right, or peer-to-peer marketplaces out there, right? The biggest one in Europe being eBay, but I'm Brazilian from Latin America. I started on Mercado Libre, which now is a really famous company that some of you might have heard about. Um, like I said, started as a joke, started as a way to complement my the money that my dad would give me to live, right? So I would just joking around start buying and selling merchandise, and I was, I can say, intrigued by the data, meaning intrigued by how easy it was to sell online, intrigued by how easy it was to see everything that was happening online. And I mean, by happening, I'm talking about web analytics, right? And what everyone knows today, right? Assumes it's a given that you can see all the data of what's happening in the physical world. That's not like that. Um, since then, um, I kind of never looked back, right? And like I said, it ended up being the best decision for me personally and also for my career. I mean, working with e-commerce, even 15 years later, has never stopped to be thrilling, has never stopped being exciting. I still haven't stopped learning. Um, I've gotten surprised several times. I've done big mistakes also as well, but some things still remain the same, which are the fact that I am still intrigued by the data, and I still have a lot of fun doing it because I like the people around the industry as well, and the kind of people you will meet are people that are, say, I wouldn't say fun to work with, but again, people that are intriguing. After working for as an entrepreneur almost, right, trying to start my own business online, I naturally, like everyone else, I thought I was going to be an entrepreneur, and I tried to found my own business, which was also an e-commerce. That's when I probably got hit in the face the strongest, right? Because that's when you really learn. You don't know much, right? So I was a 19, 20-year-old kid trying to start a business, and Obviously, it obviously no, some of them work out, right? But mine didn't, ended up failing miserably. But to this day, I tell everyone that I learned more in those 18 months trying to start and run my own e-commerce than I learned in the 4 years that I did of college. Um, we still don't have academic formation teaching e-commerce. It's it's not something that you can learn academically. Theory means nearly zero. You can study about e-commerce, but e-commerce is best learned by doing because not everything works everywhere. I mean, nor you can read theory about e-commerce that tells you that you should do A in working in a specific customer, and you can try that out and find out that it doesn't work because in e-commerce, different things depending on the industry. Like Guilherme was saying, he worked with a B2B marketplace. If you're going to run with a B2B marketplace, you can take everything you know about B2C and throw it in this trash because it's not going to help you much if you're trying to run a B2B marketplace online. It's almost a different industry. And that's why I say you're always learning, right? There's especially when you start connecting to the real world and you start doing omni-channel commerce, then it's even funner, right? Because you start learning about how stores operate, you start learning about logistics. And kind of due to this lack of academic formations around digital commerce, is why VTEX creates and pushes this program, right? The idea of this program is to fill in a gigantic gap in the market, which is there is nobody teaching digital commerce out there. Not in practice. There's several people teaching the theory. But again, this is a business that is best learned by doing. This is what we call a business where what is worth is empirical knowledge or your own experience. The industry is very new to this day, right? Of course, after COVID, a big acceleration happened. We'll talk about that later. But before COVID, it was still an industry that was still a minority of the revenue of most companies, still very rare to find really capacitated people around this. So by creating a program like this, our idea is that we can kind of bridge this gap, right? VTEX is a B2B platform working with a lot of customers. And by if you guys join us, we believe that we can give you a 2-year program that will give you this empirical knowledge, right? Where you will be able to work in multiple different industries and be able to be at the end of the program what we call a digital commerce specialist, which today is a very rare skill to have. It's not something you can go to school for. So again, I think working in the e-commerce industry, well, I'll speak for experience. I've worked as an entrepreneur, as a physical person, right? Just on the P2P marketplaces. I've later gone on to work for the largest corporations in the world, worked for several years in Walmart, worked for several years in Carrefour, and have been working for the past 5 years in VTEX. And again, it never ceases to be exciting. It never ceases to change. It's in constant evolution. Things that I believed I knew 10 years ago are no longer true. So, I mean, if you're really looking to transform yourself into a rare professional in the market, which is what we call digital commerce specialists, I think we really believe this is the place to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think some of the things you were mentioning, Daniel, have to do with the industry, but also have to do specifically with the way that things are done at VTEX. And that brings me to another question, which is, how is it for you to work at VTEX?
I can start that one. Like for me, it has been a wonderful experience. Like I came from enterprises. I came from an industry that has a slow process, that you have to go through committees to approve each new idea, that you have to go through a huge bureaucracy and face endless alignments meetings. And we have a few sayings here at VTEX that we follow by the heart. So like the first thing is that for me it's super strong. It's a no excuse environment. and not in the sense that you can't make mistakes. Like everyone makes mistakes, we make a lot of mistakes, but we don't use others as excuses, or the environment or as excuses, or technical limitations as excuses. You try to find a way to solve the problems, and that's what we do every day. And it's how the customers perceive us, like fighting to go for the best solution. There's another thing that we say is to be bold, and we also follow that through the heart, which in the sense is like it's better for you to say later that you are sorry than to ask permission and to not do something that you really believe is in the best interest for the company and in the best interest for the customer. For you to I can say one example. For me, I truly believe that we needed a multi-language experience, and I went to the end with the product team to improve it, to allow for us to have a better experience for the European customers, and we do now, and we are recognized for some customers for that. Was huge project for me, and for having autonomy. As I always said, like it's lovely, like to say on the daily basis, I love to have autonomy. And when you experience, it's like it's 10 times better, because it's not only have the autonomy, but you have the sensation every day. You have the sensation that what you have accomplished, and you have a lot of opportunities to do it, is because of things that you thought about. It's because you working with your colleagues, you're talking to people, not your manager saying like you must do X, Y, and Z, so you go and do it. No, you had the idea, you talk with the people that go around you, we talk with people all around the globe, like we have a Slack, everyone's super open, and you have the opportunity to do it. It's completely different for me than the other companies that I worked before.
Cool.
And
Yeah, I think I can take that. I think well, VTEX is a where do we start, right? I mean, when I get at first, VTEX can seem an intimidating place to work for, which is amazing because you want to work in a place where you believe that most of the people are better than you. And this kind of intimidation is good because it pushes people forward. This happened with me. I'd already been working with e-commerce for like 10 years. But the moment I walked through the door and I participated in the first company event, I said, wow, for the first time, I'm actually working in a place where I believe I can learn. I was tired of being seen as different or as competent working in these big corporations just because I knew the basics about what digital marketing was or about what was e-commerce, right? It's when you work in a big, uh, not necessarily a big, but a non-digitalized company. Um, it's easy to be the most promising employee because you have very basic digital skills. And it's kind of hard to leave that because that's what we call a comfort zone, right? It's really good to be there, right? You walk in the room just because what you know what SEO means or you know the basics about SEM, it already differentiates you. Um, Working in VTEX, when I walked in, I really saw, well, this is a company built of digital commerce experts. It was the first time in nearly a decade that I went back to studying. It was the first time that I actually decided to pursue new knowledge, right? Because I said, look, if I just keep what I know here, it's going to be hard for me to develop and to grow and to get admiration of the people. So it's good because that really gives you the push to move forward. Um, if you're interested, right? If you have genuine interest in the industry, right? And that's for me the number one, right? To work in VTEX, you really have to be in love with digital commerce, right? It has to be something that actually interests you. Um, because, I mean, there's a lot to learn, right? From the more technical aspects, the marketing aspects, to the logistics, to everything. I mean, if you're really passionate about this, the content is endless and the teachers are infinite. right? Because today, at the time, we were a company of 300 people, but today we're a company of 1,500 people. I believe we have done a really good job in still maintaining the same standard of quality. So there's a lot of really experienced people here who can teach you a lot about e-commerce. Now, even though it can be intimidating and pushing you forward, what makes this a pleasant place to work is the company culture, right? So it's also good to work in a company that does not punish failures done in good intention, right? A company that actually values diversity and inclusion and does specific efforts and strong efforts to promote equality inside of our industry, right? To promote the space of women and in commerce, to promotes diversity inside of our customer base. It's something that gives you um, a higher sense, right, or a higher purpose regarding the work that you're doing. And the three main aspects of the company culture, right? Which some of you have probably read up in VTEX. You'll know that it's about being bold, building for community, trust to be trusted, right? So being bold is like what Guilherme was saying. We do not, we respect ideas that come from any level of the company. People have autonomy to make bold decisions no matter what area, no matter their level inside of the company, right? We always say we are constantly trying to build the VTEX that will kill VTEX, right? If we don't innovate, somebody else will innovate and will kill us, right? So we have to be the ones innovating internally. When you say trust to be trusted, it's what Guilherme said, right? If you trust the people that work around you, they will trust you back. This makes it possible for us to work with a lot more horizontal and flatter organizational structure than you will see in other companies, right? Because we actually trust the people that are on the ground in contact with the customer to make decisions on their own. And lastly, the build for community, right? VTEX doesn't exist by itself. VTEX is a B2B company that relies on its customers and relies on all of its partners. So in every market we operate, there's this huge ecosystem of partners who have to push the solution forward, right? So we can't just talk to the customer. We have partner agencies, we have partner solutions who also have to be, so that we have events for these partners, we have trainings for these partners. And that's a whole other side of the business where you can learn quite a lot, to be honest. Last, I'd say, again, for me, the opportunity to work in a place where you respect your peers, where you're feeling that you're constantly learning, and that still brings you a higher purpose, is what has motivated me 5 years ago to work here, and what keeps motivating me every day, right? When you were, lastly, I'd say, is working for VTEX is not just working for VTEX, right? Because of our business model, and we can talk about that later, we are very committed to our customer success. And that's a little bit what Guilherme was touching upon a couple minutes ago. If you work in the CX department, where both of us are, it's almost more like you're working for the customer than working for VTEX, because like we're very committed to their success. We're very involved in their business. So at a certain point, it's almost as if you're working in a consulting company, because you get the opportunity to go really deep into the business of each of these customers, each one working in a different geography, each one working in a different industry, which is amazing because you can learn about groceries one day and then really become a specialist in groceries. And then someday you can go and have to build a B2B marketplace, right? And have to learn about that. So even though the VTech side of the works can be kind of the same, because you're always changing customer, talking to different industries, you're always learning new things. Again, I can't stress enough. I think for young professionals who want to get interested in digital commerce, I think this is the best company in the world to be in.
Yeah, I think I agree with everything you both said, and thanks for sharing. So before we get to the next question, I would like to remind everyone, if you have any questions for our guests, you can post them on the chat and we will address them. So my next question is, why do you think this is the best time to work for a tech e-commerce company?
Well, I can take that one first. It's, if you think about an industry, like if you think about the future, like where you want to be, you prefer to be on a stable or a dying industry, or you want to be taking the lead, going to be being the one that's innovating, being the one that's not just surfing the market, but also like it's challenging the market. Like we are a company that came from Brazil. We just launched, had our IPO in New York. We are expanding to Europe and to the US aggressively. We are getting customers, and we are fighting with companies that come from the Silicon Valley, and we are winning several times. So if you think about an industry that, as Daniel said, that a couple of years ago was a side business for a retailer that represented 1%, and now if you think about e-commerce, like companies are surviving thanks to e-commerce. It's as think about your daily life, how many things you buy today online that you haven't thought about 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even like 3 years ago, how much the industry changed, how much when you it's a sometimes a class word, but omni-channel. But if you think about the experience that you have when you try to break the barrier between the offline and the online world, and you create a whole new experience for the consumer. When it doesn't matter if he goes to a brick and mortar store and the product doesn't exist, then you find a way to deliver, to not lose that opportunity to sell. And that's what's impossible a few years ago. And in 15 years, this is going to be completely changed. What we are talking here today is going to be the basics. Like, if people that don't do that won't be alive, the companies won't survive, and the companies will still having to be innovating. And I'm sure that will be leading this innovation.
Yeah, I agree I agree with, especially with the last part that Guilherme said, right? Um, I think this is the most exciting time maybe to be working in the e-commerce industry, because finally, um, in our view, right, we believe it finally is getting the attention that it deserves after several years of being neglected due to its potential. Right, several of us bought into this industry a long time ago, but the really big players didn't. Right, several are really just buying into the e-commerce industry right now. So I think that's what explains why the amount of investment going into this industry, the growth, the amount of open positions everywhere is so big right now. And that's why I think it is the best moment to get in. But keep in mind what Guilherme said. The same way it's the best moment, it might be one of the last moments to get into this industry and have a super fast growing career development and learning curve, right? I mean, deciding to start learning about digital commerce in 10 years' time might put you in a position where now you're behind the average professional in the market, right? And this is not supposed to be scary or anything. It's just, it depends a lot of where you want to work, right? As an industry, right? So depending on the industry, this obviously changes, right? If you go to B2B, obviously e-commerce is not nearly as important as it is in other parts, right? But if you want to work in B2C retail, grocery, department stores, electronics, house decorations, and things like that, industries where you're actually talking to the customers. Today, there is, in my view, and this is personal, it's not a VTEX position, I believe there is no more room for professionals to grow and assume important positions in these companies without digital commerce knowledge. Right? And we see this every day because we're seeing our customers hiring people for manager positions, for director level positions, and completely prioritizing almost over anything else the ones that have the technical skills and the e-commerce knowledge. So I mean, as a young professional, I mean, we believe this is the time, right? This is the time, not only because it's still there's still a lot of opportunity, but also because now you already have a structure of companies like VTEX, schools like ACOM that have already started setting up programs and content in a way where actually the learning curve is a lot faster, right? Entering the digital commerce space a decade ago, you would have to basically learn a lot for yourself, right? There wasn't no DCS programs out there. There was no, digital commerce masters program and things like that. This is something that only now is a reality. So, and this accelerates obviously a lot the career development of anyone. Um, you can't talk about this without mentioning COVID, right? I think once the pandemic happened, obviously this shifted the amount of growth, the amount of investment that has happened makes this the by far the best moment for digital commerce companies and digital commerce specialists, right? Because we can tell you this, and this we can tell you for sure. There is a dramatic shortage of digital commerce specialists in the market. This is a fact, right? Every single company I talk to is looking for them, is desperate for them, is willing to let them work remote, is willing to pay them more than they were willing to pay someone else, right? Because it's so scarce. So, as a digital commerce specialist, the name would be the time is now. I think there hasn't been a better time.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are getting now into the Q&A section, and we have a question from Ivan, and I think it's one very interesting. I'm sure you will be able to say a lot of things about BTEC Spain. So Ivan says, hello, my name is Ivan. I have recently graduated in engineering and I am applying to the DCS. That's great to hear, Ivan. Could you please tell about the main differences between working at BTEC Spain and Brazil?
Well,
Go ahead. Yeah.
first thing is to clarify that we are not only Spain, like we are VTEX Western Europe. So at here, only not only with customers from Spain, but from all the European, Western European countries, mainly UK, mainly Spain, Italy, Portugal, and now starting to come France and Germany. And on that sense, that's the first difference. So you have to handle different cultures because we are working with different clients, and inside our office is the same. We have people from Latin America. We have people that from Central America. We have people Europeans. We have people. I don't think we have anyone. We are still missing some nationalities, but we have different backgrounds also. And you think about VTEX Brazil is huge. VTEX Brazil has been well established. We started VTEX Europe in 2018, end of 2018, 2019. We have grown a lot, but we also have a lot of space to grow. And on that sense, for us to grow, depends on the people that work with us. Depend on people understanding the marketing, people wanting to create, to innovate. So one of the I have a lot of different side projects that I experienced on the last year, not only doing my job description, but also try how we are going to present results to customers, how we are going to analyze results for customers. Let's make a methodology. Let's make something that's scalable, something that we can apply to our customers. I have Gabriel that also works with us, how I can provide that to the customers on every time he wants. How I'm going to do that? How it's going to be scalable? And he did it, and he excels at it. The same thing for DCS. How we're going to hire and train bright people here for the European office. Let's bring the DCS in since the last edition. So I can say I haven't worked in Brazil, but I can say for sure that here in Western Europe, you have a lot of space to be creative, a lot of space to do what you believe is the best for the company and for the clients. And you have you have the opportunities for you to get it by your hands and to implement it.
I think just a couple comments additionally about the program itself, right? I've worked in VTEX Brazil as well before being transferred out to Barcelona. Um, the culture is similar. The culture of the company, we believe we do a really strong effort to try to maintain a unified culture between Brazil and the European operation. I'd say we do a relatively good job at that. I mean, the morale of the people, the way of that we work together is very similar. The difference, what Guilherme said, right? We have a what we call a multicultural melting pot in the office here that you don't have in Brazil, right? In Brazil, everyone is working for Brazil. They're all Brazilians. They all speak Portuguese. In the office here, it's Latins, Americans, Italians, Spanish, and French, and British people. So it's I like that. That's for me, that's an advantage. Um, However, there's obviously a lot less structure, right, involved. VTEX Brazil is 1,000 people, multiple departments that don't even exist in VTEX Europe yet. It's a completely different scale. This additional independence makes it harder at the same time to work here, right? We have a 5-hour time zone difference between us and headquarters, right? And there obviously, as any other company, there is some reliance on the headquarters teams, right? So how do you deal with that time zone difference? How do you deal with the fact that there is a smaller ecosystem around VTEX in Europe because we have a smaller number of partners, a smaller number of trained agencies? So it presents a whole set of new challenges, right? It's very much sense like working in a smaller startup, right? While VTEX Brazil is still is more of an enterprise level company. Here in Europe, our operation is more timid. There's more how can I say, less job rotation even, right? For the DCS program, this is completely relevant for you guys, right? In Brazil, if you work for VTEX Brazil, you would have the opportunity to skip around more into different areas of the company simply because there are more areas in Brazil, right? While here, if you work in VTEX Europe, there is slightly less opportunities to job rotate, but more opportunities to do more in each area where you rotate, right? Because there is less structure. So it's a balance. I think there are advantages and disadvantages. I mean, obviously, Guilherme and myself are a bit biased, and we prefer working in Europe, but I think pretty sure all of you would be happy working in any one of the two. We lost you, Silvana. We can't hear you.
Yeah, mute.
Sorry. Here I am. Thank you so much, both of you. We should get to the second panel now, but again, thank you both for being here. I'm sure your experience is very useful for anyone who's interested in joining us. I know we have another question that we will address later. So again, thank you, Danny, for being with us today. And we can go now to the second panel where we will be talking about the DCS program.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Hopefully see you all soon.
That's what we hope. So now moving on to the second panel, we will talk in detail about the DCS program, as I said. So again, if you have any questions this time about the program, you can post them on the chat and we will answer that at the end of the panel. So as I said before, DCS is a 2-year program. It's a full-time job that combines work experience with a learning program. Our goal with DCS is to develop the future experts and leaders of the digital commerce industry. And as we just heard from our guests, we know how much this industry has been growing. And because VTEX is a key player in this market, we decided to develop this program to accelerate the development of young talents with great potential that want to develop a career in this industry. So we believe this is an opportunity to grow on your own career along with the growth of the company and the industry, which is, I would say, a unique opportunity. And we call it digital commerce specialist because we really aim to develop what we call full stack professionals with both technical and business knowledge, with a holistic understanding of the business. This is very important. So what we want to make sure is that at the end of the path, you will truly be specialists and experts in digital commerce. With that in mind, we designed this program based on 3 pillars, which are the work experience, the learning experience, and the mentoring experience. And now to talk deeper into these 3 pillars, I would like to invite another very special guest that we have today, who is Camila Isibara. She's a DCSer from the first class from Brazil, and she's here with us to share some things about her own experience with the program. So Camila, are you with us?
Hey, hello. Yes, I'm here.
Hi, thank you for joining us today. We were just mentioning the pillars. Let's talk first about the work experience, which, as I said, is based on job rotations. So during these 2 years, the participants will have the opportunity to experience different areas of VTEX, and this will give you, as I said before, a holistic vision about VTEX clients and business. It will also help you understand what is the best path for you and the areas that you want to stay in at the end of the 2 years. So depending on the path that you want to take and on your performance, of course, in the previous rotations, you will be recommended in which areas to rotate. The idea is that by the end of the program, you can become, depending on what you want to do. So if you want to be a solution architect, if you want to be a customer success manager, it's entirely up to you. So related to all of this, Camila, could you share with us how has this experience, the rotation, how has it been for you so far? And how do you feel this experience is helping you accelerate your career?
Yeah, sure. So thank you all for being here. I'm sorry about a little bit of my sore throat here, but I think you can all understand me. So I'm Camila Zibara. I'm recently graduated in economics, and I'm here in Brazil. I've already been through the consumer goods industry, so Procter & Gamble, and also the payments industry with MasterCard. And I just joined VTEX November 2020, so it's been almost 10 months that I'm here at VTEX. And I want to just make a little first disclaimer here that I'm going to talk about my own experience within the areas here at VTEX, and especially for Brazil, right? As I think Daniel and Silvina already mentioned, it's a little bit different for Western Europe, but I think the main idea is the same, which is to get as much knowledge as you can during this process, and also to contribute as much as you can during this process. So I think the main objective remains the same, even though the countries are different or the clients are different, but the company is the same. So now I'm going to start about my rotation itself. I started into on-demand team here in Brazil, which is a customer excellence area in which we support the smallest clients for VTEX. So we give them support about the platform, and we have at first a 1-month training about the platform. So they teach us. It's a path that it's really well supported by VTEXers, by internal people from VTEX. So after that, we get all the knowledge that we need to start supporting those clients. And I've been there, I think, from 3 to 4 months before my first job rotation. And after that, and also another thing that I want to point out is that I'm trying to build a path to become a solution architect in the end. So then I realized that I needed to get more technical knowledge and more technical background, because I'm graduated in economics and it's not a technical area at all. So I knew that it was something that for me it would work. And that's when I decided to go to the partner excellence team. So I think Guilherme and Daniel also mentioned that that's the partner, so the implementation agencies that normally implements VTEX into the clients, and they have this more technical knowledge as well, because they normally have more complex projects with the client. So they provide a service to the client, so that's why they have more technical discussions as well. So then I decided to challenge myself actually, and I went to the Partner Excellence team. And I think I can relate a lot to the things that were mentioned before, because I also had the opportunity to develop a project within the Partner Excellence team. So it was not expected, but I had the freedom to create as well. So I could develop a project within there, which was to develop an application for the platform with other teams at VTEX. And now I'm currently at the PTA payment team, which is PTA stands for Product Technical Analyst. So I'm within the product area, and I'm more detailed into the platform. And I'm now getting to know like a whole new different world within VTEX. And then this has been like a real adventure for me. And one thing that I wanted to add is that this opportunity to do this rotation is giving me this holistic view, as Silvina also said. And I think this is something that is really valuable for us. And not every person within VTEX has the opportunity to rotate, for example. So with that, what I realize is that every new area that I join, not only I'm learning a lot, but I can also contribute a lot because I have this holistic view, because I came from a different area, because of all the structure of the program. So I think, and this is the main goal, and this is what makes me feel that I'm accelerating my career. So.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, and I do believe that despite what we said before, that maybe some of these areas are not in Spain or in Europe specifically, this experience is definitely the same no matter the areas or how many rotations you do, because it's something that we are looking to achieve in any area that you rotate in the program. So I think it's something that we can take from that experience and also make it like something general for anyone who participates in the program, no matter in which location. So let's talk now about the second pillar that I mentioned before, which is the learning program. We truly believe that education is key in the development of a future-proof career. And that is why ACOM, which, as I said before, is the European Institute for Commerce Management, has developed a unique program for the participants of the DCS. This program covers what we call the 5 dimensions of digital commerce. And it's also tied with a certification that you will be able to get at the end of the program, which is the CMX. That's the Commerce Management Expert. So the learning program combines, and this also relates to what Daniel was saying before, it combines formal learning, of course, but also, and more importantly, practical learning. And actually one of the deliverables of the learning program is to adopt case from one of VTEX clients. We call this adopt a customer. So Camila, could you explain a bit about your personal experience with this initiative? Which was the client that you worked with? What was the challenge, and what were the results?
Yes, sure. Okay, so we were at the digital marketing dimension at first. So talking about the project that we developed, and it was more like a consulting project with a customer. So we took one tier 3, which is one of the smallest customers here at VTEX, and we talked to them. So, hey, do you want to make a project with us with a digital marketing consultation? And when they accepted, we developed. My client was Use Veggie, which is a pajama client, and it was really nice development. It was a really nice development of the project, because the client was essentially a B2B company, and they, during the pandemic, they started to think about their B2C vertical. So then, without any B2C knowledge or background, they suddenly decide to build a structure for that. And that's where we got with them. And we decided to focus on the B2C because they didn't have any knowledge before. And it was really nice because by the end of the project, and we learned everything from the customer. So we could access their tools, their digital marketing tools. We could get access to their admin from VTEX. We could get access to their operation also because we had regular meetings with them. And by all of that diagnosis that we did with them, we could achieve a lot of good results because we gave them autonomy for them not only to work into their digital marketing area, which was the first reason that we got in touch with them, but we also expand that to the other areas of the digital commerce itself. So by the end of the project, they increased their sales because we helped them making some adjustments into their tools. We helped them making some adjustments into their operation, for example, so for their freight, for their handling for the products. And by the end of like a month later that we ended the project, they had a huge impact on their sales. Which was really nice for us because it was the first case that we did with the customer, and we had the opportunity to do that thing that's learn by doing. So we learned a lot as well during the process, but we also had this satisfaction of helping them achieving their goals.
Perfect, thank you. And now talking about the final aspect of the program, which is the mentoring experience. Basically, each DCSer will be assigned a mentor from VTEX that will guide them along the journey. And it is a great opportunity for the trainees to get closer to senior market professionals with vast experience in the technology and digital commerce market, and to learn from them as well. So, Camila, could you maybe share with us some words and about your about the mentoring experience for you, who your mentor is, and how do you think this is helping your development?
Yeah, sure. My mentor is Flavio Nigis. He's a customer success manager for Carrefour and Adidas here in Brazil, which I think is one of the biggest customers for VTEX here. And it's been a really nice experience, and I think he helps me a lot, and we built a strong relationship during the process. But what's the major outcome of the mentorship is that you realize that senior professional market it's on the other side. It's also a human being, and he also faces challenges, and he also faces a lot of dynamic things because it's a dynamic market that we are facing. So it's something that really nice that you see when he shares his experience and how he overcome that. You see that there's a trained eye from their perspective because he's a senior professional. So you see, and then you can get this to, for example, I get this to my daily routine, and I can work with my daily challenges, with my daily routine and work routine with his experience. So I think that's the main important thing, is that you realize that there's a person on the other side, and you can relate a lot as well. So in the end of the process, the mentor also gets to know you more and gets to help you through your process during your career path and this type of stuff. And I think those are the main benefits actually that I get from the mentorship.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing. I'm sure this is very valuable for our audience to get from someone who is actually a participant in the program. So thanks again, Camila, for being here with us. We are running out of time, but I have a few important things that I wanted to say. So first, the requirements, which is something that we get asked a lot about this. You need to have graduated between June 2018 and July 2022. It doesn't matter what you studied specifically, as long as you have an interest in joining the digital commerce industry. This is something that Daniel also said before. The most important thing is that you truly have an interest in joining this industry. You will also be required to have a good level of English, since we are a global company and a lot of our communications are in English. And as the team already shared, actually the BTEC Spain is BTEC's Western Europe, so any other languages as Italian or Portuguese are of course very valuable and very welcome. And as a reminder, the application period finishes this Sunday, September 12th. So we have the QR code here in the video, and that will take you to the landing page to apply. You can do it right now. The application is very quick. And this edition of the program will begin on January the 3rd. So we have a few months that have to do with the hiring process. It has a few steps. We will always be letting you know what the next step is. I think we had a question related to if you have to study some technical aspects for the hiring process. Not really. I mean, of course, if you have technical knowledge, that's great. I would say the best way to prepare is to get informed about the digital commerce industry, of course. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions along the process. And I think we are running out of time. So if anyone has any other questions, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can find me there. I'm actually Maria Silvina Scalabrini. And I think that's it. We are right on time. So we will end this webinar with a video from the latest DCS class from Brazil, Argentina, and Spain. Maybe this could be you, the next edition of the program. That's what we hope. So again, thank you all very much for being here. Let us know if you have any questions on LinkedIn. And thanks again to all our guests. That's it. Good evening. Thank you.
Quando eu entrei na VTEX, eu estava com muita sede de aprender y me desafiar de todas las formas que yo pudiese encontrar.
El equipo aquí en Barcelona es increíble y mi objetivo es sacar todo lo que puedo de este equipo y del ecosistema de VTEX.
Ingressei nesse time incrível que é a VTEX.
Y hoy estoy muy contenta de estar formando parte del DCS Program en VTEX.
E eu tô super animado com o DCS, já tô aprendendo muito.
Estou muito animada para enfrentar novos desafios y me tornar uma especialista en digital commerce.
Siempre me apasionó el mundo digital y estoy muy contenta de formar parte del programa DCS.
Espero me encontrar dentro do campo de especialista.
Eu vi aí o DCS como uma grande porta de entrada para esse mercado.
Aqui vamos a um passo astronômico.
Estou muito animado com todas as oportunidades e desafios que estão por vir.
Minhas expectativas com o DCS são muito altas.
E também poder ajudar esse time incrível da VTEX a revolucionar de vez a landscape do varejo mundial.
E ao lado de profissionais inspiradores, construímos juntos o futuro desse ecossistema,
que vai evolucionar o mercado de varejo mundial.
Eu estou super animado e ansioso para os próximos desafios dessa jornada.
Essa trilha está começando, mas cada passo tem sido super gratificante.
Fiquei encantado com a transformação que ela vem promovendo no comércio digital.
E com certeza isso já está acontecendo e está sendo uma experiência sensacional.
Hi, I'm Paula.
I'm Victoria.
And I'm a future
digital commerce
specialist.
Digital commerce specialist.